What would happen if Tarzan came out of the jungle and started living like a modern human in the city? How Tarzan adapted to city life was truly shocking. This thrilling story begins with a man named Lyon, a prominent hunter, shown heading toward a forest with several companions. His main goal is to extract numerous diamonds and elephant tusks from a strange type of forest. This was clearly an illegal operation, and Lyon knew it very well. He and his soldiers, armed with advanced weapons, ventured deep into the forest. But as soon as they entered the territory, they encountered tribespeople who lived there. These tribespeople didn't want outsiders coming in and taking away their resources. The tribe started launching stealthy attacks on Lyon's men, taking them out one by one. Even though Lyon's men had modern weapons, the tribe used ancient techniques to defeat their enemies. Using those methods, they wiped out all of Lyon's soldiers. Only Lyon himself survived, slowly making his way out. As Lyon tried to escape, the tribespeople began approaching him. But instead of fleeing, Lyon fearlessly fought back and killed one of them. That's when the leader of the tribe arrived, glaring angrily at Lyon. Lyon stared right back into his eyes without flinching. At this moment, the tribal leader revealed he knew exactly why Lyon was there, for the diamonds that were in abundance on their land. But instead of attacking Lyon, the leader offered a deal. If Lyon could bring back a certain man to them, they would give him the resources he wanted. The man they wanted was Tarzan, the very person who once lived among them but had since moved to the city. The leader said if Lyon could bring Tarzan back to the tribe safely, they would reward him generously. Lyon found this deal appealing and seemingly agreed to it. We are then taken to a modern city where a press conference is taking place, attended by major politicians, even the president. Alongside them is Tarzan, now known by his modern name John. Tarzan, or John, had once lived among the tribe but, for some reason, had chosen to live in the city. When the president learns about all this, he starts talking to John about his homeland, the jungles of Africa, saying that he should return there, where his people still live. They might need you, that's why they're calling you, someone told John. But John didn't want to go back, due to an important reason. The dark truth behind this decision would be revealed soon. For now, it was clear in John's mind, he would not return to Africa. He even rejected the president's offer, insulting him in the process. As John was leaving, another man named George, who used to live with him, tried to convince him. You should go back. Just explore the place once, and then you can return, George said. But John believed his life could be in danger if he went back, and that's why he was avoiding it. George tried to reassure him, saying this journey could be very beneficial for their city's growth and development. Since John was also a committee member, he had a responsibility to consider it seriously. John started to understand George's point, and eventually began to think about returning to the African jungle. We're then shown a flashback to John's childhood, when he was very young. His mom and dad used to live in that very forest, in a small home they had built. But soon after John was born, his mother fell seriously ill and passed away. His father was left to raise him alone. But things took a tragic turn when a group of gorillas attacked his father. They brutally beat him to death. As the gorillas climbed to where baby John had been kept, a female gorilla saw the child. She felt sympathy for him, perhaps because she had a baby of her own. So, she rescued John from the others and took him away. That same female gorilla raised John, who would later become known as Tarzan. The scene now shifts back to present day, where John returns home to his wife Jane. After all these years, he had adapted well to modern city life. Jane, his loving wife, was telling stories to their children, stories about Tarzan himself. She told them how brave Tarzan was and how the animals in the forest were huge and powerful. The kids listened with excitement and fascination. But when Jane found out that John was planning to go back to his homeland, the African jungle, she became very worried. She asked him to take her along, but John gently refused, explaining that it would be too dangerous. He told her that some tribes were still after his life, and he couldn't risk Jane getting hurt in any way. Still, Jane was scared. She feared that if John went back this time, he might never return. All these thoughts were overwhelming Jane. She was mentally exhausted. But John supported her and explained everything clearly, how important it was for him to go. Politically too, this journey had meaning. After all his explanation, Jane finally seemed to understand. Now we're taken back to Tarzan's childhood, when he was still very young and had just been taken in by the female gorilla. He began spending his life with the gorillas, who treated him like one of their own. That female gorilla raised Tarzan like a son, and he even had a gorilla brother, her biological son. But one day, the leader of the gorillas arrived and wanted to kill Tarzan, simply because he was a human. Humans weren't supposed to live among gorillas. However, the female gorilla stood up for Tarzan. She convinced the leader that Tarzan wasn't a threat and could live peacefully with them. All the other gorillas eventually agreed, forcing their leader to back off. And so, Tarzan was spared. He continued to grow up in the jungle, living his whole life surrounded by animals and nature. Now the scene shifts back to the present day, where John, Tarzan, is revisiting the memories of his childhood, memories tied to that forest. He deeply missed his home and the family that raised him. But the reason he left the jungle and came to the city, that was truly shocking. John, now serious, began explaining everything to his wife Jane. "This is going to be a dangerous journey," he said. But Jane was not easily convinced. In fact, she made a bold decision. She wouldn't go with John to that tribe. Instead, she would stay in a different tribe nearby, known as Koba. John was okay with this, maybe even relieved. So now, John, Jane, and George set off toward the jungle together. As they journeyed deeper into the forest, they eventually reached its heart. There, they encountered a group of lions. Jane and George were terrified, but Tarzan calmly walked toward them. The lion sniffed him for a moment, then recognized him. It was Tarzan. They began to welcome him, almost ceremoniously, in their own strange way. It was as if they remembered him, respected him, he was part of their world. Jane and George were stunned. They couldn't believe a human could connect so naturally with wild animals. The three of them continued their journey deeper into the jungle. Meanwhile, on the other side, we see Lyon again. He was in trouble. The kings he worked for had taken a loan from a bank to support their illegal operation. The loan had to be repaid with interest. Lyon, talking to the banker, said, "You need to help us, give us soldiers to control that tribe." The banker was confused. What's so special about this forest? That's when Lyon pulled out a piece of diamond, and revealed its value. He said, "This is what lies in that forest. In the black market, it's worth a fortune. If they managed to take over the forest, they could extract more diamonds than they could ever imagine in a lifetime." That made even the banker greedy, and he agreed to help Lyon. He arranged for a large number of soldiers to join Lyon in heading toward the forest. Meanwhile, Tarzan, Jane, and George arrived at the Koba tribe, a different tribe where Jane had grown up. Her father, a professor, lived there too. Everyone was thrilled to see Jane and Tarzan, and gave them a warm welcome. The tribe held a bonfire celebration, sharing stories, especially those about Tarzan, the bravest of them all. While everyone celebrated, Tarzan's mind drifted back to his earlier days in the forest. He had come to know every animal, every corner of the jungle. There was nothing in that forest unknown to him. And it was during this time that he first met Jane. Jane had always been drawn to nature. She had come into the forest to interact with animals, and that's when Tarzan appeared before her. Afraid, he ran away at first. But suddenly, a group of gorillas attacked Jane. Tarzan couldn't let her die, so he threw himself between her and the gorillas, getting seriously injured in the process. He risked his life to protect her. Seeing Tarzan wounded, Jane brought him to the Koba tribe, where they treated him. From that moment on, a bond began to grow between Jane and Tarzan. They got to know each other, and slowly fell in love. Back in the present, soldiers arrived at the Koba tribe, but these were Lyon's soldiers. Lyon had launched a full-on attack with a massive force, and even killed the tribe's leader. After taking full control, he captured Tarzan, intending to hand him over to the black tribe leader, in exchange for a massive amount of resources. Lyon even captured Jane against her will. He and his soldiers were ruthless. They destroyed the entire tribe. As they were transporting their captives, George suddenly attacked and helped Tarzan escape. Tarzan fled to another part of the forest, but Jane was still in Lyon's custody. By the next morning, Tarzan was consumed with rage. His wife had been kidnapped because of him. George approached to apologize, but Tarzan started hitting him in fury. Tarzan had warned him from the start that he didn't want to come back to this place. But it was George who had convinced him to return, and now they were all suffering the consequences. Now that his wife has been kidnapped, Tarzan has no choice. He must save Jane at all costs. He knew exactly where Lyon and his men would have taken her. Meanwhile, Lyon was transporting Jane, but Jane warned him. "You've made your biggest mistake. Tarzan will come for me, and he'll destroy all of you." Lyon simply laughed. He revealed that this had all been a trap. They had intentionally lured Tarzan back. Now that Jane was with him, he was sure Tarzan would follow, and once he did, Lyon planned to hand him over to the black tribe, exactly as arranged. In return, he would receive countless diamonds and resources. Lyon was on the verge of becoming insanely rich. Jane, meanwhile, had grown to despise Lyon and began planning an escape. On the other side, we see Tarzan, John, now determined and focused, setting out with George and a team of allies to rescue Jane. He realized that the black tribe's hideout was very far, and the only way to reach it quickly was to catch a train that passed through the forest. Tarzan and his group made their way into the dense jungle, swinging on vines. George, not being a native of the jungle, struggled, but Tarzan, raised among the trees, grabbed the vines and had George ride behind him. They raced through the forest, swinging swiftly and fearlessly. Soon, they reached the train and climbed on top of it, hiding as it sped along the tracks. While traveling, Tarzan discovered something horrifying. The train was transporting prisoners, people who had been illegally kidnapped and were now being smuggled. Tarzan couldn't let that happen. He launched a full-blown attack inside the train. Even though the soldiers came at him from all sides, Tarzan fought back with unmatched strength. He didn't stop until every last one of them was defeated, including their leader. The prisoners were now free, and they all thanked Tarzan with deep gratitude. Back at Lyon's camp, he was now having dinner with Jane. He wanted a partner, and for the moment, he had chosen Jane. Jane played along, pretending to eat with him, but secretly, she had hidden a knife. She had no intention of staying there any longer. But little did she know that Lyon had noticed everything. We find out that Lyon, like Tarzan, had also spent several years living in the forest before moving to the city. That's why Lyon has a unique manipulative ability. He can read people's expressions and body language to figure out what they're planning. Now, he's just waiting for Tarzan to come, so he can capture him and hand him over to the Black Tribe in exchange for diamonds and resources. At this moment, Jane couldn't do anything and could only wait for Tarzan to arrive. Meanwhile, Tarzan, George, and the rest of their group reach a deserted area. But Tarzan insists on going ahead alone, because he knows the Black Tribe's territory begins beyond this point, and traveling together could put everyone's lives at risk. George, however, refuses to leave his side. He has already decided to stay with Tarzan till the end. So now, both of them venture deep into the Black Tribe's territory. They enter a forested region full of dangerous wild animals. As soon as they go in, they're confronted by a group of gorillas ready to fight. Tarzan tells George that he will challenge the leader of the gorillas. Whichever one of them wins, gets to move forward as they wish. Surprisingly, the gorilla coming forward to fight Tarzan turns out to be his brother, the son of the same gorilla mother who raised Tarzan. They had grown up together. George is confused, wondering how anyone can fight such a huge gorilla. Now Tarzan and his gorilla brother stand face to face and attack each other. Tarzan gets seriously injured at the start, but the gorilla isn't trying to kill him. He knows Tarzan is his brother. Eventually, the gorilla lets him go, as Tarzan is already weakened. It's nighttime, and George is tending to Tarzan's wounds. His body is covered with injuries. Now Tarzan also realizes that this entire plan was Lyon's, to capture him and hand him over to the Black Tribe in exchange for resources. This means that no matter what, Tarzan must save Jane, because Lyon will stop at nothing to make his plan succeed. Meanwhile, we see Jane talking to some of the tribal people whom Lyon had captured. They keep giving her subtle signals, and eventually, she sees a chance and jumps into the water to escape. All of Lyon's men begin chasing her. As she runs ahead, she reaches a spot where the water level is very low. Suddenly, fierce gorillas appear in front of her. They start moving toward Jane, but she bows her head in front of them. Tarzan had once told her, if a large animal is attacking you, you should bow your head in submission. Because of that, the gorillas didn't attack her. And it was actually happening. Those gorillas weren't attacking Jane at all. But at that very moment, Lyon arrived there with his soldiers. Lyon, pretending to be submissive by bowing his head, still manages to grab Jane. Meanwhile, his soldiers start attacking the gorillas. One by one, the gorillas are being killed. The sound of gunfire reaches Tarzan's ears, and he immediately locates the place. He rushes through the forest at incredible speed and arrives at the scene where Lyon's men are present. At this point, Tarzan's gorilla brother also becomes furious and begins attacking the soldiers, as they are killing his kind. But Tarzan suddenly sees a gun pointed at his brother and quickly pulls him away to save him from being shot. Now the gorilla also realizes that Tarzan hasn't forgotten his values. He still considers him a brother and is trying to save him. This moves the gorilla deeply, and he completely sides with Tarzan. However, Lyon and his men seize the opportunity and kidnap Jane again. Tarzan tries his best, but still fails to save her. The truth behind all this goes back several years. When Tarzan lived in these very forests, the son of the Black Tribe leader once tried to help them but was killed in the process. Tarzan couldn't tolerate this injustice and retaliated by killing the leader's son. That is why the Black Tribe leader wants revenge at any cost. Lyon, knowing all of this, used the situation to prove his loyalty to the tribe. He brought Tarzan there, knowing Tarzan would follow Jane no matter what. As promised, the Black Tribe leader gives Lyon numerous diamonds and antique items as a reward, making Lyon significantly richer. Now that Tarzan has arrived, the tribe leader confronts him and challenges him to a fight. A fierce battle breaks out between the two, while the rest of the Black Tribe watches eagerly. The winner of this duel would become the ruler of the entire region. But Tarzan tries to explain to the leader that Lyon plans to take over the whole area with the help of his allies, who are equipped with advanced weapons. Still, the leader refuses to believe him and continues attacking. Tarzan shows immense bravery, and in the end, holds a knife to the leader's throat. As soon as the tribe members move forward to kill him, Tarzan reveals the truth, telling them that the leader's son had killed his mother, and in revenge, he killed him. After explaining everything, the leader starts to understand the situation. At that moment, Tarzan's gorilla brother, along with his companions, arrives and stops the black tribe members, urging them not to fight among themselves. Tarzan tells the leader that they should all attack Lyon together, as he is bringing a large army that will wipe out everyone. Lyon just wants the resources there to sell in the black market and make money. Meanwhile, Lyon is still trying to escape with Jane, heading towards the sea. Thousands of soldiers are shown marching toward the tribe, so Tarzan teams up with his gorilla brother to ask all the animals for help. All the animals know Tarzan and are loyal to him, so they immediately arrive and begin attacking Lyon's soldiers. Chaos breaks out everywhere as the animals, enraged, assault Lyon's army. This is the best option, as otherwise, Lyon's men would use weapons to kill them. The animals, in large groups, make it difficult for the soldiers to fight back. Lyon, in the meantime, deliberately hangs Jane above the animals, but by then, Tarzan arrives. He quickly catches Jane and jumps with her to a safer spot, vowing never to let her go. George picks up a machine gun and starts firing directly at the enemies, killing many soldiers. Tarzan then moves toward Lyon because he is the main leader. After Lyon's death, the remaining soldiers would retreat. Tarzan reaches a sinking boat, but Lyon catches him. He tries to choke Tarzan, but Tarzan breaks free and immediately calls out for help. The crocodiles living in the sea immediately arrive at Lyon and devour him. But the problem is that the boat is completely destroyed, and a massive explosion occurs, leading everyone to believe that Tarzan has died. Thousands of soldiers watching the explosion decide to retreat. Many of their men are dead or injured, and with Lyon dead, they have no reason to stay. The soldiers retreat, and the entire black tribe is freed, including those who were being held captive. Jane believes that Tarzan is dead, but after a short while, Tarzan comes from behind and hugs her, revealing that he is not dead and will stay with her forever. George, having gathered all the information, returns to the city and informs the president. The president says that taking over the black tribe and the forest is completely impossible, as the people there can defeat even the biggest armies. Hence, the president and all the political leaders decide to completely cease any attempts to take control of that area. Tarzan, leaving his post as a political leader in the city, returns to live with the African tribe. After a while, Tarzan has a lovely son, and he is very happy, enjoying his new life. Our story ends here.